In Activity 12, A Trip to a Greenhouse, students tour a local greenhouse and learn how greenhouses reproduce favorable growing conditions for plants. Students then make a terrarium, a miniature greenhouse, from plastic soda bottles. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 12, Parts A and B, assorted colored crayons, 2-liter clear plastic soda bottles, plastic bowls, bags of small gravel, potting soil, spray bottles, and masking tape. You will also need to provide a black felt tip marker, newspaper, outdoor or cultivated plants, scissors, and tap water. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 12 Part A for each student. Also, make arrangements to take students to a local greenhouse in Session 2. To begin Session 1, ask students to recall planting the seeds in soil in Activity 3. Ask, what did we cover the planter cups with after planting the seeds? Why? Students should recall that they used a sheet of plastic to keep the soil moist and warm to help the seeds germinate faster. Ask students, have you ever seen a greenhouse? What is it made out of, and why? If necessary, explain that a greenhouse is a building whose roof and walls are made of glass or clear plastic to let in sunlight but keep out wind, rain, and cold. Then ask, what is a greenhouse for? Students should understand that a greenhouse provides plants with just the right amount of moisture, air, sunlight, and warmth, and enables us to grow many different kinds of plants all year round. Then, tell students that in this activity, they're going to take a field trip to a greenhouse. To prepare for the trip, ask students to think of some questions they would like to ask the workers at the greenhouse. For example, why is this building called a greenhouse? What kinds of plants are grown here? Which plants are grown from seed, from bulbs, tubers, cuttings? Why are the walls and roof of the greenhouse made of glass or plastic? Students may also wonder if the windows of the greenhouse stay open, how the plants get watered, or how the plants stay warm at night. To conclude Session 1, distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 12 Part A to each student and have students copy down 5 questions they would like answered. To prepare for Session 2, each student will need to bring his or her activity sheet to the greenhouse. To begin Session 2, at the site, ask your tour guide to describe the different kinds of plants grown at the greenhouse and to explain how a greenhouse works. For example, the windows open to let in fresh air and close to keep out wind and cold. Overhead pipes spray water on the plants, and heaters provide an even, comfortable temperature for the plants. Finally, give students an opportunity to ask any questions that have not been answered yet. To prepare for Session 3, make a copy of Activity Sheet 12 Part B for each student. Students will also need Part A to complete as a class. Then, wash the soda bottles with soapy water and rinse, and cut off the neck and mouth of each bottle. The rounded part of the bottle will become the dome top of the terrarium. Cut 4 small slits in the bottom of the plastic bowl for drainage. You will need to obtain plants for students to put in their terrariums, which you can purchase from the greenhouse, gather as wild plants, or ask parents to send some in. If possible, try to get a mix of cultivated and wild plants that prefer the high humidity of a terrarium. Then, place the following items at a distribution station: the pre-cut soda bottles, bags of soil and gravel, plants, 1 roll of masking tape, a marker, and 4 spray bottles of water. Each team of 2 will need 1 cut soda bottle, a masking tape label, some gravel, some soil, 1 tall plant, 1 short plant, and some crayons. Students will need to mist their plants with a spray bottle before reattaching the dome top. To begin Session 3, back in the classroom, review Part A of the activity sheet as a class. Give students time to record the answers to their questions. Then ask students, does anyone know what a terrarium is? Students may equate the word with aquarium, a container in which water plants and animals live. Students may or may not know that a terrarium is a container in which land plants live. Distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 12 Part B and some crayons to each student. Review the instructions as a class. Point out the materials at the distribution station and then have teams make their terrariums. When they are done, instruct them to place the terrariums in a warm spot out of direct sunlight. Let students know that to water plants in a terrarium, they should spray the plants, but should not add any water to the soil. The moisture content of the containers is adequate if small beads of water collect on the inside of the dome top and trickle down the sides. If the air inside the terrarium looks foggy, remove and wipe the inside of the dome. When all teams have had an opportunity to plant a terrarium and complete the activity sheet, ask, "How is your terrarium like a greenhouse?" Students should see that the plants are growing inside a clear container, which lets in light and keeps in moisture and protects the plants from animals and wind. Unlike outdoors, students can control the growing conditions inside the container by adding water, placing the plant in a warm, light place, removing the top to let in air, and so on. Finally, have students write thank you letters to their host at the greenhouse. To conclude Session 3, place the terrariums in a warm spot out of direct sunlight. Keep full spray bottles nearby for students to use as needed. Any extra plants can be added to the terrariums, planted in the garden box, given away to another class, or taken home by students. Discard the newspaper and return any unused soil and gravel to the kit. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.